Hey everybody, told you in another video that I said I would show you this linkage once I got it hooked back up on this Dodge. So let me show that to you. This is what it's supposed to look like. Essentially, here's the piece that was here. This is the rod that goes down to the transmission. It's a one piece down there, just kind of heads down that way, and the way it's shaped, you know, just one big piece there. And then this is part that was missing right here. Had to go to the junkyard and get. This is just a linkage bar, I guess you would. It attaches back here, and it's got a clip that holds it on, and it's got the stud comes out of the carburetor here, and it's got some things going on here. This is your return spring, a dual return spring for the throttle, and some washers. This looks kind of hokey. This thing, the way it normally is kind of loose, and I don't like that because it makes has potential to make your shifts erratic, you know, if it moves around some. So I try to keep it tight, just still not too tight so it won't move or anything. You know, it's got some room, but it's got another set of washers and clips. And this spring here goes between this, as you can see, and this, and the reason for this spring is to keep this arm on the carburetor, this relationship to this whole thing. This thing always has to be, as see, it'll move, but it always is supposed to be as far up as it can, because there's no adjustment up here. The adjustment is down at the transmission down there. So this is how you know, if you got some kind of issue going on with one of these torque flies and it shifts too soon or shifts too late, in your opinion. Some of them adjust up here. The car's got one that adjusts up at the carburetor and at the transmission. That's good. But this one, this is what does all that. That's what controls it. As you can see, let me go ahead and just open the throttle up here. You kind of see the relationship to that. And you see what I'm saying about it needs to move. As soon as the throttle moves, it needs to move. If it's back, if it's just hanging loose and it's back here like this, you know, at idle and all that ain't gonna work. This thing has to be up forward as far as it can. And be sure you have a dual return spring. This carburetor's actually got a return spring made into it, but it's better safe than sorry. What else I'm doing is I'm wrapping up doing these fuel lines. This is kind of an interesting situation here. I put a new fuel pump on. I had one left over from something else. But this is like all Chryslers of this era, same with that car behind me. It's got the fuel filter down here by the pump. And Quadrajet normally takes a filter up here in the housing. See, it says filter, but this one doesn't, so there's no filter in there. It's just that empty housing. The filter's down here, so you can see it's connected and all that. And that port that's poking out right there, that's a kind of a vapor fuel return port, I guess you call it. It goes, you see that right there, that's where that hooks to. So that's what I've been wrestling with. It had a clamp from heck on it I had to destroy to get off there, but it's too bad too. It's probably a better clamp than a lot of the crap you get now. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. So tomorrow I'm gonna get some gas and put in the tank. I put some dry gas in it, hopefully dry it, which I'll tell you something, dry gas, you might as well not even spend your money on that stuff. Just go get you a 16-ounce bottle of alcohol and pour part of it in it, because that's all's in that. They spell it differently, but that's all's in it. So I should have done that cheaper. So I put some gas in it tomorrow and run my electric pump down there to bring it up to the engine, the fuel pump, and make sure everything's good there, and we should be ready to see if this thing will run. I was noticing, looking on here, you can't really see it, but the pulleys are nice and shiny on this. So this truck's been running recently. So I just made sure my fuel line is out of the way of everything. So I'm gonna finish this up, and maybe tomorrow we'll see what goes on here. Well, this is, like I told you, this is a Chevy carburetor, but it's really close to the Dodge carburetor version that came on this. Really didn't have to do any kind of modifications to it, so that was great. It should work out good. So yeah, Oh, I'll show you what I did on my air cleaner. This is I didn't talk too much about it, but this is a dual snorkel air cleaner. And it sits on the engine kind of like this. And it's nothing real fancy, just got a regular old filter in it. But I noticed something. You see this little actuator. This is a vacuum actuator. Of course, it's not going to anything now, but normally it's got had two flaps on this, and they stay closed all the time. This one was spring loaded. As it turned out, they're plastic, so I decided I didn't want to take a chance of this thing. These ports, snorkels staying closed. So as you can see, I've removed the plastic flaps permanently. So that one's removed, and that one's removed. Wide open. Whoop. So, this thing ain't split in half or doing something bad, I'm gonna try that thing out too. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap it up before the mosquitoes carry me off, and we'll pick back up on this tomorrow. The other little thing I'm going to be doing is, I may not film this because I've already showed you how to do one of them, but I've got the seal to put in that transmission, that shifter shaft seal I made a small video on. I'm going to be doing that on this car tomorrow to cure that leak once and for all, because I really am tired of putting transmission fluid in it. I've let it sit here about 2 or 3 weeks now, and it's probably drained the transmission pretty far down, so I'm just going to not even put any fluid in. I'm just going to let it roll down here by the shop where it's level and put it up on jack stands. I think what I'm going to do is I got to get access to that linkage that I showed you, and it's pretty tight on one of these when it's in the car. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to pull the bolts out of the rear transmission cross member and drop it down as far as I can to get into that, because I can do it once if I can just get my tools up in there. I can, you know, it's not that hard to do. So I'll be doing that, and a couple other little repairs I need to make. I need to go ahead and order a sending unit for the gas tank. I gave up trying to cure that problem. It's just not going to fix. So do that. And the other thing that I'm going to do at some point before it gets too cold is the heater works, but the fan motor's burned up in this car, and this is one of those that, unfortunately, the fan motor has to come out from inside. The whole heater box has to come out, and just thank goodness it's not an air conditioned car, because it's a lot more simple to do without air conditioning. So I may not do that this weekend, but coming up soon I'll need to do that. So, because I've been neglecting this Plymouth some lately. I want to get it back on the road and drive it. So yeah. Alright everybody, well, thanks for watching, and tune in again. I'll pick back up here soon. See ya.